I'm so glad you're here listening to the Sustain Your Passion podcast. I'm Genesis, your host and business development expert. If you're ready to make a bigger impact and income while helping others, then you're in the right place. Thanks for joining me, and I can't wait to help you sustain your passion. Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Sustain Your Passion. I'm so excited for this one because it's going to be pretty different than my other episodes. This topic is an Ask Me Anything type of podcast. So there's really no topic other than these are questions that I got from my audience, like from all of you. I put out a form a couple months back that said Ask Me Anything, and I picked 4 questions that I'm going to work through today, and we'll just see what y'all think of this format. If you like the more conversational like Q&A approach, I'll keep doing these Ask Me Anythings, and I really do mean it. Like, ask me anything. I may not answer it, but you can ask. And so today the 4 questions are fairly related, but also a little bit different. So we will talk about 4 topics. We'll see what you think. And then if you like this format, we'll keep this up. So, okay, my first question that I got from you is, what is your favorite thing about your business? And I just love that question so much because there's a lot of things that I love about my business, but to have to pinpoint my favorite, I think it's my freedom. It's my creative freedom. There has never been a job that I've worked in ever before where I had so much creative freedom. And I mean like what I'm selling, who I'm selling to, what I'm marketing, how I'm marketing, when I'm working, how I'm working, where I'm working. Like, it is all up to me. And it took a while to figure out like what actually works for me to sustain my passion for my business and my work. But being able to explore my different curiosities and different knowledge areas and different books, all in the name of bringing it back to serving my audience, is one of my favorite challenges. And so it gives me the opportunity to be really creative. And, you know, recently I was looking into how to bring like art into my work more because I just love painting. And I was thinking like that could be something I host with my community. Like, I could do a paint night just because I can. Like, I don't have any rules that says, oh, I can't offer that because it doesn't match my brand. Like, I am my brand, and therefore if I want to offer it, I get to. And that freedom is so fun because it's really more about where do I want to put my energy towards in my business, and then getting to run with that, because I do some checks of like, okay, how will this fit and whatnot, and how much energy do I want to put into this before I find out, you know, what my audience thinks. And being really mindful of how I'm using my energy is an important part. But the freedom to know that if I wanted to, I could incorporate anything into my business because I'm the brand. And I could articulate why that matters to me and why that's fun, and why like doing a paint night in community could be so liberating for yourself because there's no like right answer to painting, and how incorporating that lesson into your business really gives you the freedom to do all the things that I just said are my favorite part about like being the business owner, is having that creative freedom. And art is a way to practice that and, you know, develop the skills of talking back to your shitty little inner critic that's like, oh, that looks stupid, you know, when you put a paint stroke, and then remind yourself, okay, well, I'm just going to fix it then. Like, it's okay if it looks stupid right now. I can fix it and keep going. And there's just so many great mindset lessons in painting specifically, and like drawing, that can be incorporated into like business leadership, that it's so fun to think about that, like, if I feel like being creative in this way, I can incorporate that into my business because I have the creative freedom to decide what I'm going to be talking about and what I'm going to be offering and how I'm going to be doing that. And then I get to get feedback from my audience along the way and like co-create experiences, which is so fun. And there's just never been a job like that I've ever been in before, where I really got to explore myself, my interests, my creative pursuits, and then be supported to build that out or follow that rabbit trail or whatever, and not feel like I was doing something wrong or like I was off task. Which in any job I've had before, it's kind of like after a while, I kind of master the skills needed to do the job well, and then I'd get bored. And I don't know if that's common for a lot of you, but like I know that's an ADHD thing too, is that like we get bored really fast and like we hate being bored. And so for me, I would either go and try and get more work to do because I was bored, which sucked because they didn't have more money, but I was doing more work just to keep myself entertained for the full, 40 hours or whatever I worked. But now, if I want to work more and I have more creative interests, like that just means I could go make more money, which is really fun. So all around, yeah, just the creative freedom to follow my interests, bend my business to match where I'm at in life, slow down when I need to, speed up when I want to, and really just have the freedom to get to know myself and my interests and live much more as a creative artist than as like a stuffy, I don't know, corporate drone, is just so liberating and really gives me a sense of freedom that I've always been craving my whole life, and my business does that for me. So that would be my favorite thing about my business. Great freaking question. Thank you so much to whoever sent that one in. Oh, these are anonymous, by the way. So if you have a question you want to ask me and like you want to submit it anonymously, like you can do that. That's what this form is for. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next question. How do you relax? That one's so funny. I don't know anyone with ADHD that like truly relaxes. But my closest version of relaxing is like when I'm not actively trying to create a thing or like actively engage in a task or on a meeting or something like that. I'm pretty much generally always trying to relax if I'm not actively doing something, because my brain just doesn't shut up. And like, it's actually why I got diagnosed with ADHD in the first place, is that I was having trouble sleeping. And I explained to my psychiatrist, like, my brain just won't stop talking. And like, I would love for it to just stop coming up with new things to think about when I'm laying in bed trying to relax and go to sleep, but like, it won't shut up. And he was like, oh yeah, that's called ADHD. It's a disorder that like we could medicate you for. And I was like, oh my God, like brains aren't supposed to do this. Like what? And the idea that like that was something that like could be modified was so liberating, because then I was able to see like, okay, my brain is going to behave this way. I could take medicine to help me relax. I could not, and learn how to live with that reality. And like, that's the path that ultimately I've chosen. Like, I don't regularly take ADHD meds anymore. Because I found that for me to relax, I really just need to have clarity on like, have I done everything I need to do today? And for me, that typically means looking at what type of time-bound commitments have I agreed to, either with client calls or like client deliverables or upcoming meetings or things I need to prep for. And if I've done enough work on those things, then I turn to my like giant never-ending to-do list of like ways to constantly improve my business and grow it, and ask, does any of this actually sound like fun to work on right now? Because if it doesn't sound like fun and engaging to work on, like it's probably not going to be my best work. So I might as well not try to create shitty work just to recreate it again later and be frustrated that I like spent so much time on it when really the time wasn't effective. I just felt like I had to. So it's then, to come back to the relaxation part, it's looking at that list, like finding out, okay, if I've done everything I have to, that's time bound, or commitment to someone else that's like, a deliverable, a time-based deliverable, and I don't want to work on anything else anymore, then I have to mentally like unhook myself from work mode. And honestly, that's when I get the most creative, cool ideas, which is really fucking frustrating, but like, it's also just part of it. And so I don't try to have like work hours and then like off hours. I just accept that like I am always working, because the way that I process life and think about things is what people like to hear about, and why people hire me as their coach is that they want to process their life and their business in similar ways and make similar decisions to sustain their passion. And so for me, the idea of like trying to relax isn't as effective as figuring out like, more so, have I done everything I need to do? And then existing in a state of relaxation, like in general in my life, which to me, like being able to relax just means getting to choose what I'm doing and follow my intuitive desires. Like if I want to take a nap, take a fucking nap. If I want a snack, if I want to go for a walk, like if I want to go swimming, like do it, and that is relaxing to me, like getting to have, a weekend day where you just get to do whatever you want to that day. Like, that is what I want to be feeling whenever I'm not actively engaged in a task for my business. I want to feel that same kind of freedom. And so for me, it's really getting clear on what needs to be done. Have I done it? And if so, then I am on like free time, relaxation time, and then getting to do whatever I want during that period of time. I'm also going to say, like, I am openly a stoner and a half. I love good weed, and it is something that got me through my master's degree. Like, in case any of my past professors are listening, I was stoned all the fucking time. And I do not have any qualms about the fact that I was a hardcore stoner in grad school, and weed helped me get my degree. I also regularly enjoy it still. It's legal in the states I'm in, so like, don't come for me. And it does not in any way inhibit my ability to be creative, and that is my most important like skill for my business success. And so for me, it is a really cool way to calm my nervous system when I want to and be more present in my body. I know it's not the way that it affects everyone, and there's different strains and stuff like that. So like, yeah, just know that this is my experience, right? But for me, it's really helpful to like be present, stay focused, and also be in a more relaxed state. So I regularly engage with marijuana products and things, vaping, gummies, etc. And I also would say like something else I really like doing is just kind of tuning out and rewatching shows because of what I've explained of how my brain just like does not shut up. It's really nice to put on Gilmore Girls, which I've seen for the last like 20 years. It has been my like calm down show. And I know every fucking episode. I could probably recite most of them. And there's something about like knowing what's coming that's just so calming. And so I'll put it on. And then that's like my cue to relax. I sometimes will watch it like while I'm working too, just to have that same like relaxing, calm state brought into my work. So yeah, that's how I think about like when to relax and how to actually disengage from work so that I can relax. And then a couple of specific methods I like to use in terms of like what I do while relaxing. Also, I just sleep a lot. I try to sleep as much as I can because my sleep hours are like really fucked. So if I'm not actively needing to produce something like, and I'm sleepy, I'm going to take a nap and it's going to be great. And when I wake up, I'll probably have way more energy to work. So yeah, those are my thoughts on how I relax. Okay, so question number 3. What is your favorite way to show someone you love them? Oh, I love that so much. Thank you for asking this, whoever asked it. That's such a sweet question and something that is so fun to think about. So thanks for sending that in. I would say the way that they receive love best is my favorite way, because I like my intention in loving someone is for them to feel loved, not for me to display love in a certain way that feels good to me, but rather to help them feel loved and known and seen and heard and valued for exactly who they are. And so that might mean, you know, holding space in different ways, or offering affirmation in verbal ways, or offering gifts or different things like that. Like I feel that part of loving someone is getting to know them. And so for me, I would want to get to know, you know, the people I love as best I can, and then meet them where they're at and what they want, you know? But if we know that, right, and then we're asking, well, okay, this person's going to feel love from you in like any possible way. What's your favorite way though? I would say my favorite thing to do is create things for people I love. I love painting. I love drawing. I love working with my hands and crafting. I don't particularly like cooking, but I really love cooking for people that I love, that I want to have like try something that I love too and get to share that with them. And so I think like acts of service / like gift giving would be things I do for those in my life that I love. I also really, really like writing. I'm very, very shy about like my personal writings, not like business things. Like, yeah, I, you know, published author and blah, 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 but like I can do professional writing very well, and I know that. But taking the time to reflect on a relationship and write about the experience I have with the person is one of my favorite ways to feel love or feel loved by someone. And so when in a safe enough space to do that, to reflect back to someone like the impact that they have on me or that I see they have on the world and their community, I feel like that is one of the things that I can do really well. And yet it's also so deeply vulnerable for me to do that, like, it's not actually my favorite thing to do, but I have heard that it can be really nice to receive. And so I guess that gives me the motivation to want to be more comfortable sharing my writing about my feelings. Because the safer place is to go like hardcore APA. Like, no, I'm citing other people's work. These are not my thoughts, not even my feelings. Like, no. It's just, logically this makes sense. But I would say that I do really enjoy it. It's just also very scary for me. So it's like a new way that I'm working on allowing my feelings to be seen, which then I think shows people my feelings for them. Like, so I would say writing. But then the areas that I'm most comfortable right now is like creating things for people that I love, trying to help them in any way. Like, if a friend tells me they like really need something, I'm immediately rattling through every closet I have shit stuffed in, or any friend I have that might have that resource, and like wanting to share resources. I would say is like kind of how that gift giving / like creating things, active service dynamic that I spoke about would be encapsulated in like sharing resources. And then just foundationally, like in the way that they receive love, because otherwise that's just a very self-centered way of caring for someone, I think. And so all of that together is my favorite way to show someone that I love them. It's kind of one of my favorite things to do, because I know how hard it is to feel unseen, unknown, uncared for, and unloved. And to me, like, that is the worst, most isolating feeling that a human can experience as a social species. Like, feeling unimportant is so painful. And if I can offer proof that that's not true, like, that's love. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that one. Beautiful question. Thank you for asking. So the fourth question and last one I'm going to answer is, how do you multitask? Oh my gosh, so many thoughts here. Okay, so first, I don't think multitasking is a thing. The science that I've read about it shows that we're not actually multitasking. Like, we're not doing two things at once. We're just task switching really fast. So if I say, oh, I'm watching TV and I'm writing this blog, like, no, I'm not actually at any given time taking in both fully and engaging in it. Like, there is sound that I'm processing. There are words that I'm processing. But very quickly in micro split changes my perception. 1 minute I'm focusing on what's happening in the show, and then the next minute I'm focusing on my writing. Or, 1 second I'm listening to the show, and then 1 second I'm writing. And so I think that's an important thing to note, because the way that I engage in the concept of multitasking maybe will sound a little different now that you know that. So for me, I think of it as, what stimuli am I taking in at once? And is that supporting me to do the two things? So, like, for example, I will regularly, as mentioned, like earlier, I'll put on Gilmore Girls while I'm working. And I'm not expecting to be absorbing the TV show while I'm working unless I stop working and then I'm watching the TV show. And I know that that is what happens. And that's actually what's really good for me, because task switching like that helps me to stay engaged enough in the work task I'm doing, because I can go and like get dopamine from the fun show, then come back to my work. And so in terms of multitasking, like on the micro scale, we're not, like, we're just not, like, our brains aren't actually doing both things at once. We are switching back and forth. And knowing that makes me think then, okay, how do I use that to my advantage? Then I'm going to put on a happy show if I'm trying to write something, happy. I'm going to put on, melancholy music if I'm trying to feel my feelings and like get my pain out. I'm going to put on a funny podcast while I'm out walking my dog if I am trying to like disengage from work. Like I might be doing two things at the same time, but like my actual attention is only on one of those things at once. And so then how do I make them complementary to each other to help both the things get done more efficiently? Which now, if we're going to talk on the macro scale of multitasking, what comes to mind for me is like I run a podcast, I run a coaching program, I pump out shit tons of content, I have an email newsletter that goes out weekly too with my podcast. Like I am a busy gal. I am also like writing, I think it's up to like 3 fucking books right now. And so there's a lot of things, right, on the macro scale, work-wise, that I'm doing, let alone like managing my life, which right now looks like figuring out how to exist in my life after divorce. And that comes with a whole host of fucking questions too. And so for me, like on the macro scale of multitasking all of these priorities, there's this book called Essentialism that is essentially, that's ironic, essentially teaching the lesson that like there is one ultimate reason for why you do all the things you do. And if you can find that and then harness that into your decision making, like you're going to have a more coherent and calm and like productive experience. And so for me, the idea of all of these pieces that I balance and like on the macro scale, like all of those projects I just listed, they all come back to helping people do the same singular purpose, which I have defined as my business and personal mission, which is to help people align what you do with who you truly are so that you can sustain your passion. And so if I were to filter everything that's on my like macro scale of commitments, I would ask myself, is that in the service of aligning who I am with what I do and actually being my full self in these experiences? And then, you know, in the vein of aligning what you do with who you truly are, it's like, it's a lot easier to not have to multitask and then to see like the commonalities between the things. So like I might be working on a book over here, but part of the work that I'm doing on that book is also helping feed these blogs and, you know, create a podcast episode. And I might be coaching tomorrow, but it's going to be helping me create content for the week. And so I'm trying to be efficient about like my experiences to build off of one another, not try to do like them all at the same time. It's not like I'm trying to like write a book while coaching someone. But being in a place of, okay, I know that all of these priorities fit together. And for this reason, I think for me, it feels like multitasking. And I think that a lot of times, like I'll get asked this question about like, how do you have a family and a life and friends and a community while also running a business? And like for many years, I also worked full time while running my business. Like, how do you multitask all those big things? And so like on that level, to me, it's about finding the commonalities and figuring out like what is your essential goal and mission, and then being able to from there align all of your actions in a thought process type of way, like being able to see how all of your commitments actually are in the service of your like pinnacle essential mission, which for me is sustain your passion, to help people align what they do with who they truly are. And so like I'm not going out and writing a book that's not about that, you know? I'm not keeping friendships with people that don't help me do that. Like I'm not going on podcasts where like they're telling you to do the opposite and like just make a lot of money and hustle through the pain kind of thing. Like I am always, all of my effort is going towards a singular task of reaching that mission. And so then I feel like I'm able to work like smarter, not harder, and more efficiently. And then on the micro level, like task switch appropriately to sustain my engagement in these different areas that all roll up into my overarching mission, which is probably a very convoluted and like overthinking type of way of answering the question, how do you multitask? I don't know if you were asking at what level you were asking that question, person who submitted this, but hopefully those thoughts help. I think just in general, I operate with the belief that like I cannot multitask, therefore I need to be intentional with where I'm focusing my attention. I need to keep myself engaged on my tasks that I choose to do because I have a greater purpose and mission that I want all of my engagements and tasks to be in the service of, because that is what I feel called to do and best positioned to do in this world. And it gives me a lot of personal satisfaction knowing that I'm helping people in that way. And so I don't ever really feel like I'm multitasking, which I think pulls out like the stress of like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to do so much things, when like instead I can see them all as kind of the same thing. And then I feel more like, okay, I'm creating things, or I'm like resting, or I'm engaging in my business, or I'm resting. And so it's like, it's easier to not feel like I'm quite as scattered as maybe when I first started my business. I did feel when I was working full time and building my business, like with every free minute, and adjusting to living in a new state or a city, and going to EMDR therapy once a week, like processing shit tons of childhood trauma. Like, I think I saw those as separate experiences. And then once I was able to discover like, oh, like the thing that matters most to me is helping people achieve the goal of sustaining their passion for the good work they do in the world. And to do that, you have to like figure out who you truly are, and then align what you do with that reality. And then you don't feel like a chicken with your head cut off as much. And so once I got that clarity, it's a lot easier to see that like everything is all towards that mission. So I'm not ever trying to do like a lot of different things. I can instead see how all those different things add up to that one essential goal, so that I don't feel so overwhelmed, because it's more like, okay, I'm moving this one mission and brand forward all the time. And like my impact that I want to make on the world is being advanced. And therefore, like I'm doing one thing, which to me feels more comfortable than like, oh my gosh, I'm half-assing like 5 things. Instead, it's like, okay, I'm working on 5 things that are all building towards one bigger, greater part. Like these are all the parts of like one greater, bigger impact. And so then to me, it's less like stressful to be engaged in a lot of different smaller tasks. And then, yeah, on the micro scale, I talked about like how I manage the like day-to-day multitasking pressure. So I hope that answers your question. Everyone who submitted questions, thank you so much. I still have a whole bunch more. So if you like this episode, if you like this more casual conversational Q&A style, please slide into my DMs. Let me know, because this is a new approach for me. But it seems to be fun. Seems like y'all like being able to submit anonymous questions, and I really enjoy getting to answer them. So if I get some feedback that this is a way that you guys like listening to content too, I'll incorporate this into like a quarterly thing or something like that. So give me feedback. I'd love to hear it. If you hated it, just don't tell me because it'll hurt my feelings. And I'll just take your silence as disinterest. So thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you found something helpful that relates to where you're at in your business and your journey. And if you have follow-up questions, you know where to find me. If you want to give me feedback on this episode, find me on social media and slide on into my DMs and let me know what you think. Okay, everyone, thanks, and I'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Sustain Your Passion podcast. If this episode helped you gain a bit more clarity, courage, or confidence, please share it with your friends on social media or in a text. It would mean the world to me. Thanks in advance for sharing this episode. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.